how's everybody doing? It's Paul from Magpie 24/7 with a preview for tomorrow's big game at both ends of the table as Newcastle United head down to Liverpool to take on Everton at Woodison Park. A huge game at either end of the table. For Newcastle, of course, it's about carrying that massive positive energy and that momentum from a fantastic afternoon at St James's Park against Spurs. It's about carrying that momentum over and again just getting another 3 points in the bag on the march towards European football this season and possibly the Champions League. Fingers crossed about that one. For Everton, obviously the priorities are absolutely at the other end of the scale. We have been there and we have been there far too often in recent history. Not this season, no looking over our shoulders, but Everton certainly are. They are balls deep in a relegation battle and they are slugging it out and fighting for their lives. And literally for them, every goal conceded, every goal scored, every point on the board is huge and massive because games are running out and they are in real danger of being relegated. And of course with their new stadium, which it does look impressive, it does look fantastic, the new stadium, can you imagine that debuting in the Championship? Because once you go down, it's not a given, it's not a guarantee that you get promoted straight back. As we have seen with many teams over the years, we were lucky, we were blessed really to come straight back in the manner that we did. But for Everton, they will be hoping, everything crossed, that they can avoid relegation. And look, last season at a similar stage of the season, we went down there and it wasn't a great day for Newcastle. It all went south at the end. And they got the points, so it's not a given, it's not an easy, and this is the beauty of the Premier League, of course it is that any team can beat anybody, bottom can beat top. I watched the Southampton Arsenal game last week, and at times for large amounts of time during that game, if you didn't know anything, you probably would have said that Southampton were the team up the top fighting towards, fighting for the league, and Arsenal was scrapping for their lives. It's so topsy-turvy, and with so much on it, every game so precious, so important. Anything can happen. And look, if Newcastle go down there and 100% good commitment, blood, sweat and tears and all that, and if Everton go down and give 100% blood, sweat, tears and all that, our quality, you would think, would see out on the day. But if either side are even a few percent off, given their maximum physically, mentally for this game, then that could be the deciding factor in deciding which way the 3 points go ultimately. It's one of them, but I have a complete confidence that if we turn up, if it's the Newcastle versus Spurs, if it's the Newcastle against Manchester United recently, if that Newcastle turns up, no problem. If the Newcastle United turn up who went down to Villa Park, then they will get done over. There's no doubt about it, because it is huge for them. Sean Dyche has come in, and to be fair, before he came in, they looked absolutely doomed. He has got some points. I think he got a goalless draw last time out. I think it was against Palace. A very direct style of play. I think Calvert-Lewin was back for that game, and they literally just went direct the entire game and looking to feed off the scraps. And it wasn't to be in that game. But they will hope that sort of method, that attitude, that style of play does them enough in the final few games of the season to keep them up, because relegation for them would be an absolute oh my word, it would literally be the biggest fuckluster that you have ever seen. They are so much in debt. There is issues with regards to compliance to FFP. There is a huge bill that is being paid for the construction of the new stadium. As fantastic as it looks, and it will be no doubt, it has to be paid for, and relegation is painful, the drop in money is painful, and so on and so forth. So it's huge. Newcastle could certainly, by giving them another defeat, push them, one step closer towards the trapdoor. There's no doubt about that. And for a lot of Newcastle United fans, that would taste oh so fucking sweet. The rivalry between the two clubs, Newcastle and the Scouse Blackhams, has been well documented. We've talked about it on a number of times. It doesn't help when you've got the likes of little wee-armed Jordan Pickford in goal, and no doubt that will give a bit of a circus, a bit of a carnival flavour to the atmosphere. Certainly when I was down there for the 2-2. If you remember, we were 2-0 down, we drew 2-2 with Florian Lejeune deep into added on time, scoring 2 and getting a point on the day. It's always fun, and at St James's Park, every time he touches the ball, it's he's the villain. Mackham, shit keeper, wee arms, suspect goalkeeper for me. That's always good. On the other side, on the flip side of that coin, Anthony Gordon is returning to Goodison Park, and no doubt, because the Everton fans do like to boo quite a lot. They boo anything. They probably boo the fucking tea ladies at half time. But they'll no doubt be dishing out a little bit to Anthony Gordon. He's still their third highest goal scorer this season, despite the fact that he's played for Newcastle United. And he's earned them a lot of money that they can reinvest into the squad, money to keep the FFP Wolves away from the door, so to speak. It's a little bit confusing to see why they would turn on one of the Yawn, why all that situation happened with blocking the road, blocking his exit, stopping his car and having a right go at him. It is a strange situation normally. Like I say, for one of your own, it is different. So I really don't get it, but to be honest, I don't really give a shit. He's at Newcastle United now. He's had an encouraging start, and we're better to get his first goal. Can you imagine the fucking scenes and the kick-off if Anthony Gordon at any point either starts or comes on and gets the winning goal, gets a goal of any sort, to be honest. Oh my word, they would let shit rip, wouldn't they? Fuck me. It would be it would be mental. It would be class. It's one of them things that is likely to happen if you think about it. All the time in the Premier League, it's all in little sub stories. It's all those stories just underneath the surface that come out, that happen, and it's just like a Hollywood sort of movie or something like that, where there's a little subplot underneath. And it would be funny as fuck if it was Anthony Gordon to score during this game, his first Newcastle United goal. And he showed in his cameos more often than not huge promise, huge pace, huge potential. Eddie Howe spoke about that today in his press conference. He's been really pleased. He's going to have a word with him before the game. But he was keen to stress, look, it's not about Anthony Gordon, it's about Newcastle United, and it's about us getting 3 points, and a huge 3 points it could be. Looking at the table now, we're trying to do the number crunches and pretending I'm some sort of Carol Vorderman, not in that way, of course. But another 3 to 4 wins, you would think, probably maybe enough, with a lot of the other teams playing each other between now and the end of the season. I'd say 4 victories could well put us into the Champions League. So a victory against Everton, a victory against Southampton, and you are then within touching distance of qualification for Europe's Premier competition. And if you'd have said that at the beginning of the season, the men in white coats would have came for you. They really would. So to be this close is absolutely fucking unbelievable. As unbelievable as somebody leaving the door open in front of the van as I'm driving at the moment. That's just happened. But yeah, back to the game. Newcastle United, we do have a few bumps and bruises, a few concerns, and it looks as if a few changes may be needed to sort of nurse the players through. The biggest concern from the press conference appears to be Fabian Schär, who of course came off against Spurs. He has been injured virtually all season, playing all season with an injury, but he had to come off last time, and Jamal Lascelles is on standby to come back in now. To me, this would seem the perfect opportunity to move Dan Burn back to centre back and perhaps play Matt Target at left back. However, the suggestion from those far more in the know than myself would be that Jamal Lascelles would be the one to come back in the heart of the defence. So let me know what you think about that one down below in the comments, if you will. Is that the right change? Is that the change that you would make? Or would you switch Dan Burn around? Is it time to bring Dan Burn back to centre back and give Matt Target a chance at left back? Let me know down below. Other injuries, he spoke about Bruno, a little bit of a knock, bumps and bruises coming off against Spurs, but he reckons that Bruno should be okay. There's one or two others where there's a few question marks here and there, so perhaps we may see a Miguel Miron back in the team. Perhaps we might see an Anthony Gordon starting this game. Even more question marks, would you start Callum Wilson up top? Because he does like Everton, he does like Woodison Park. The atmosphere is going to certainly be a step up to what we've had recently. They will certainly play their part, in the game, pushing their team along as much as possible as well. So perhaps does that give it a slight advantage to Callum Wilson? It's so difficult because Isak is knocking them in for fun. He looks such a handful. He's the best for goals per minute behind Haaland this season, so that puts it into context. I love Callum Wilson to bits, and I think either which way we go with this one, it's winner all day long for me. If it's Isak or Wilson, whoever it is, I think the other one will be understanding to the fact that there is a lot of games in a short period of time, because we have another game coming on Sunday against Southampton. So it is about managing that squad, managing the risk of injuries, and nursing the players through till the end of the season. So some big calls for Eddie Howe to make, no doubt about that. And we just can't risk losing anyone really. At all. We talk about depth, quality depth in the squad, and in areas it is really, really thin, so we have to be on guard against that. That brings me back to Alan Saint-Maximin, still not available for this one. The initial injury prognosis when it first came out, although Eddie Howe denied it at the time, was between 4 to 6 weeks. It's been 4 weeks now, so we're now going into probably nearly the 5th week. So hopefully, very, very shortly, if not this weekend, we do have Alan Saint-Maximin back, because he was absolutely shit hot before this latest injury setback. He was on fire. He was proving a point. He was playing some great football, and then bang, out comes another injury. And since then, it's just been frustration after frustration after frustration. Various websites and media type companies and journalists linking Saint-Maximin with a move away, and that's disappointing, because I still think there is such a talent there. There is ways to improve the lad so much, and with Champions League football potentially coming up, it could be absolutely amazing to see what he can offer, on that stage. And how he can help us unlock defences from the biggest clubs about. So if I had sometimes I'd pull it out. It's just so frustrating, because there is such a talented, gifted individual there, but the stats don't lie. We haven't seen enough from him. I think he's only scored the 1 goal so far this season. We need more Saint-Maximin, more. He's got the X factor. He can unlock defences. He can run at defences. Oppositions have to sort of put 2 players on him, because I don't think he even knows what he's doing himself. It's just so natural flair and natural skill. And there's not many of that type of player about. So I really don't want to lose him. But I want him, and I think we need him to be fit more often than not, and he's part of that rotation. I don't think many players in the Newcastle United side are guaranteed to start, so it's all about rotation. It's all about the good of the team, and that is no real concern or worry to me, because with Eddie Howe in charge, it's always going to be about the bigger picture, about the team, the team rather than the individual and stuff like that. And that is one of our strengths. So looking for another committed, passionate performance, a full throttle performance to really get at them, because they will get the ball and they will absolutely slam it forward. They've got 1 or 2 players coming back as well from suspension and injury. I think Holgate, he misses this game because he got a red card. I think Coleman's back. I don't know how old Coleman is now, but he must be knocking on. But they've got a few players coming back. They've obviously got Calvert-Lewin as well, who, as long as he isn't injured once more, he is back for this game. They will get the ball, they will look to play it forward, very direct, and then they will look to feed on the scraps, and it could well be a battle of attrition. We can't afford to keep giving away sloppy goals. We haven't been keeping the the defence has been fantastic all season, but we have been giving away virtually a goal per game, at least a goal per game. It feels like far too often. So we need to be tight, we need to keep our shape, we need to be disciplined. A clean sheet in this game, and you would think that Newcastle's quality in the attacking third would eventually show itself, and we would score. And if the sort of performance is anywhere near the Spurs one, it will blow them away totally. It will totally and utterly blow them away. But we can't be complacent, and Eddie Howe will not allow the lads to be complacent. Kieran Trippier will not allow the lads to be complacent. You've got the old guard who have been there through the relegation battles, your Miguel Almirons of the world, your Fabian Schär's if he's fit and available for this one, your Joe Lintons of the world, your Wilsons even of the world, who've been there in the struggle, in the darker times, in the more difficult times, under the custodianship of Mike Ashley. They will not want to blow an opportunity for Champions League football, because it may not come round every season straight away. So you've got to strike whilst there's an absolute gaping opportunity to be able to do it. You marry that up with players who have been in the Champions League, who are expecting to be in the Champions League, and I think the players see the position of the club. They know the struggles that we've been through before. They feel the energy, the passion of the fans, and I think that combined will be enough to get us over the line. And this is a huge opportunity, because look, we're at the top of the league, they're at the bottom of the league. Realistically, this is somewhere that we should be able to go and certainly target 3 points. If not 3 points, take a point away and regroup. But I am confident. I think Eddie Howe will be stressing the fact to be confident but not complacent. Spurs is been and gone. It was fantastic, but it's in the record books, it's in the history books, and it's about digging in. It's about fighting. It's about scrapping for the badge. And like I touched on before, if we can match them for that, and they will be fighting for their lives. Our extra quality, I have no doubt about it, with Bruno and Joe Linton and Joe Willock and the likes. Isaac up top, Callum Wilson, even Jacob Murphy. A fucking brace from Jacob Murphy. I'll get on to him in a minute, actually. But if we can match them and match them up for that grit and determination, the crowd will quieten down. And then it's a case of us showing our extra quality, us getting the goals, us getting the 3 points and taking them back to Tyneside, and Jordan Pickford crying into his wee little arms. But yeah, I will touch upon Jacob Murphy, because he's one of them players. What an absolutely fantastic performance. Again, so humble. Again, been talking before this match about the fact that, look, whether I'm on the bench, whether I'm being left on the court, whether I'm starting, I will play my role no matter what. 2 fantastic goals. He was right place for the right time for the first one, and the second one, if you don't buy a lottery ticket, you don't win the fucking lottery, and he certainly bought the lottery ticket and won the lottery against Spurs. So a good brace. He says exactly the right things. He clearly cares about the club. It's so amazing. This was a player who was loaned out to, what was it, Sheffield Wednesday and was it West Brom? I think it was West Brom and Sheffield Wednesday. I might be wrong on that. He was told that was his level. He was told there'd be no chance of him resurrecting his career. He's come back, he's worked hard, And he's another one that proves the old adage that it's not just about the money, it's not just about the new owners coming in and splashing cash. You look at some of the players who have come in and how much they've added to the group. They definitely have. But you also look at the players who were there beforehand, and you include the likes of Murphy and stuff like that, and the improvement that these lads have made, it's unbelievable. It's not about the Saudi this or the money that or Stavely or the Rubens or anything else like that. What Eddie Howe has done is he has got players and made them better. He's brought Bruno in and he's made Bruno better since he's come in. He hasn't rushed him in, he's took his time, he's integrated him, he's got him to learn the language, and he's improved and he's improved and he's improved. He's got players who have already been there, like Sir Joe Linden, absolutely wrote off before Eddie Howe come in. £40 million flop, couldn't hit the side of the barn, so on and so forth. Jacob Murphy, Sheffield Wednesday, League One, you found your level. He's took those players and polished and chipped away and moulded and encouraged and nurtured, and all of a sudden they're in a team that is an ant's knob away from the Champions League qualification. And again, I've touched upon it before, it would be massive for the football club to be able to get that at this stage ahead of schedule, ahead of the plan, and it will give the financial situation and our ability to spend, again, a huge shot in the arm. Extra revenue for the commercial side and stuff as well, extra revenue through games, fantastic prize money. I mean, I was looking at the prize money recently, even for the finish in the Premier League, compared to the dark days when you're fighting towards the bottom, it's nearly an extra 45-50 million pound just on placings in the Premier League, and that's before you get to the Champions League money and Champions League riches. It's absolutely mental. But for me, it's not about the money. It's never been about the money. It's never been about this, that and the other. It's just about chasing the dream, getting into Europe, being in Europe, fighting for European competitions, fighting for domestic competitions, fighting to our way up the league, and fighting for trophies. You dare to dream anything is possible with these lads. And who would have said, even after the first game under the new ownership, where we lost narrowly against Spurs, that 18 months or so down the line, that would be absolutely and utterly annihilating them at St James's Park. And with players like Jacob Murphy, who are already at the club, it's absolutely fantastic. It is brilliant, and it is just testimony to the work of Eddie Howe, of Mad Dog, of the Gateshead Guardiola, and all of the rest of the staff, all rowing in the same direction. The fans rowing in the same direction. The owners rowing in the same direction. It is a thing of real beauty, but we've got to continue that form of positivity down at Woodison Park. Is as important as the points are for them, they are equally as important for us and for Newcastle United. And if we get the 3 points tomorrow night, 3 points against Southampton, again, it is at least, let's put it this way, it's at least 1 foot inside the Champions League. Honestly, it still makes me laugh and chuckle that we're even having this conversation. It is so nice not to be looking over your shoulder and thinking it's another relegation battle, it's another fight for survival. And we know how it feels for all of those Everton fans, all those Everton players, but if that first goal goes in for Newcastle at Woodison Park, their confidence drops through the arse. It really, really does. It drops out the arse. And it's a difficult thing. Once you're in that negative spiral, it's a difficult one to recuperate for. But look, they've got Sean Dyche. They eat wood, they eat nails and all that. You'll have seen the videos as well. And he will have them drilled, and he will have them fighting and chipping away. I have no doubt about it. But please, Newcastle, show up. Let's not have a repeat of last season. Let's get the 3 points against Everton, and for them, what will be. And of course, for Newcastle, it's all about us and thinking about what we're doing. And that is getting ready to dust off the old passports and follow Newcastle United around Europe. Exciting times for the club. We'll be back straight away after the game tomorrow night with a review, and then following that, the following day, we'll get a preview done ready for the Southampton game, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. The games are coming thick and fast, and long may it continue, because we are playing fantastic football. Best XG across Europe for the last match week. So much for Newcastle United playing this anti-football, this dark arts football. It's complete and utter media bollocks, as fucking normal. Of course it is. Just to suit whatever agenda that they've got at the moment. But let them chat shit. The reality is we're playing good football. We're playing smart football. We're playing it as united, as a collective, as a team. And boy, does Sean Dyche wish he had that down there at Woodison Park and all. To me, they're not doing as good as perhaps some of the players that they've got down there, but that's a separate issue, and that's one for them to worry about. We, on the other hand, are absolutely tight as. So fingers crossed everybody is okay. We might lose one or two to knocks and injuries for the game, but hopefully the majority of the team from the weekend come through, because they have certainly deserved to keep their shirts, and it will be interesting to see how we continue on. Yeah, technical gremlins there again, all the joys. But yeah, he did take players off to protect them, to rest them with this game in mind. So hopefully it is damage limitation. Not too many players are going to be missing for this game. You don't want to have to make enforced changes if we can avoid it. But if not, there are one or two players who can come in off the bench and do more than a decent job. Personally, from the information that I've been able to read and ascertain today from the press conference, I think we'll remain pretty much unchanged at the back, barring the one, obviously, Fabian Schär. I think he'll go with Nick Pope in goal, Trippier still at right back, captain of course, Sven Botman, partner, and Jamal Lascelles, Dan Burn at left back. I cannot see it. As much as I would probably change it up, I cannot see him doing that. I think he'll bring Jamal Lascelles straight in. So that is one to watch, and perhaps up against the physical Calvert-Lewin, you can see that working perhaps. In midfield, I think everybody should be A-OK, and I don't think you can afford to make too many changes in that department. So you're going to have Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, who's been fantastic. I've been saying player of the season, and that's with the greatest of respect to Bruno, because I love Bruno to bits. It's either Bruno or Joe Linton. But Joe Linton, fucking hell, just unbelievable. His physical presence about the pitch is just off the fucking scale. It really, really is. Can't believe it's the same player as him who couldn't hit the side of a barn, could you, when he first arrived. But yeah, Joe Linton, Bruno, Joe Willock, and he can obviously swap positions for whoever starts on the left hand side. There'll be rotation going in amongst there. Sean Longstaff as well, and then you've got, you'd imagine, Jacob Murphy still on the right hand side. The temptation would be perhaps to bring in Miggy for his work rate. We'll see how that one goes, but again, I can't imagine him wanting to make too many changes. Eddie doesn't like to make too many changes. He's already had to make one, so I can't imagine him making too many more. And then up top, because Isak started last time out, I'm going to go Callum Wilson with this one. He'll act as a focal point. If we are having to drop a little bit deeper, certainly to start the game, again, you can hit the ball long, you can hit the ball direct. He will hold the ball up. He will look to bring in our midfield and our wider players. That would probably be maybe Joe Linton to start off with, and then swapping with Joe Willock on the left hand side as the game goes on. They will just keep swapping around all the time. And then on the other side, either Miggy Almiron if he starts, or Jacob Murphy if he starts. And again, Miggy will understand, Murphy's come in and he's not done much wrong, so he's got to be a little bit patient. If that's the case and he's still on the bench, he will understand. Again, another player who's been there in the dark times. They want it. Those players who've been through the dark times will want it every bit as much as what we do, no doubt about that. I've got no real worries about the mentality side of it, to be honest, at all. And then Callum Wilson up top. So just to recap, Pope in goal, Trippier, Lascelles, Sven Botman, Dan Burn at the back. In the middle, Joe Linton, Joe Willock, Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes. On the right hand side, this is the one I'm a little bit can't 100% decide which way he's going to go, but I'll stick my neck out if I will. I'll say Jacob Murphy on the right hand side, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Miggy back as well, to be honest. And then up top, Callum Wilson, with obviously the other players like Isaac dropping down to the bench, Anthony Gordon being on the bench. It'll be interesting to see when he's brought on the reaction that he gets. Will he have anybody in the stadium giving him any sort of, thanks for your service, thanks for the goals, thanks for for the money that you've generated for the club, or will it literally be a load of boos? Do let me know down below what you think it's going to be. Personally, the Everton fans like to have a good old boo, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of booing and short memories from those down at Woodison Park. But it will be what will be, I suppose. And it seems like he's got a thick skin. I don't think it'll get to him too much. You'll understand it's them just trying to put off a Newcastle United player at the end of the day. In the same way that we will give loads of pelters to that tiny-armed Mackham bastard Jordan Pickford. Not England's number one, not at all. The England number one's and the Newcastle United goal for sure for me. But yeah, let me know what you think the score's going to be, who's going to be starting, and how confident are you feeling for this game? Champions League, or are you just happy to have any sort of European competition still? To me, it doesn't matter. A European adventure will be a European adventure no matter where it lands. Yes, you want it to be Champions League now because we've been involved and in those places all season. It would be a shame not to see it through, but regardless, this has been a fucking fantastic season for Newcastle United. Cup final, European football, possible Champions League, and not a thought about relegation all season. Happy days on Tyneside, happy days for yours truly as well. So yeah, let me know all of that down below. The score, I don't think I was the only one. I didn't get it right at the weekend. I thought 3-1. It was 6-1. So I was what, half and a bit right, wasn't I? Ish. Maths was never my strongest point. This one is going to be different. I've no doubt about it. I think it will be a tighter affair. But I'm going to go for Everton 0, Newcastle United 2. So let me know if you think I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm off me rocker or anything else like that. Let me know down below in the comments. I'll get back to all your comments as soon as possible. Like I said before, we'll be back with the review, back with the preview straight afterwards, ready for Southampton. It's all fucking go. It's the business end. It's balls deep into the Premier League season now, on the final run, the final stretch. Can't wait. What an exciting season this is going to be. The most competitive one, arguably, probably ever. Certainly been very good from a Tyneside perspective, I think. So yeah, let me know all that down below. And in the meantime, take care, keep it tuned, subscribe to Magpie 24/7, and I'll speak to you later.